Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the launch of Absa Women in Business proposition. Thank you all for making time to be with us this morning. It promises to be an exciting day, and as a woman in business, I am excited as well to find out more, and for you actually to find out more about what this proposition is all about. I will be telling you more about it in a moment, and I'd love you to be part of the conversation. Tell us where you're joining us from. The hashtag to use is AbsaShe account. I would like to quickly take you through what to expect today. Of course, after this introduction, we will have some opening remarks from the Absa team. Shortly after that, we'll also have a keynote speaker who will speak to us. And thereafter, we will have an engaging panel discussion where we would love you to engage with us as well. So whether you're joining us via Zoom or YouTube or Facebook as well, where we're going live, we'd love to hear from you. All right, I would like to recognize our guests this morning, just so that you can know who's with us in the room. Professor Margaret Kobia, Cabinet Secretary, Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs, and who's our keynote speaker this morning. We've got on our panel team, Noreen Nthiga, who is representing Anne Mutahi, Senior Advisor to the President and the SME on SME development in the Executive Office of the President. We've got Anna Zaleski-Mori, who's joining us online. She's the head of partnerships, She Trades, International Trade Center, that's the ITC. We've got Nancy Muthoni. She's a National Vice Chair, Women in Business at the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Christine Mwai Marandu, Director, Country Credit, Absa Bank Kenya Limited. And of course, we have from the management team as well, Elizabeth Wasuna Ochua, Director, Business Banking, Absa Bank Kenya PLC, Managing Director Jeremy Awori, Absa Bank Kenya PLC as well, who is our host this morning. So as I did mention earlier, do engage with us in the conversation. The hashtag to use is AbsaShe account. All right, I will now hand it over to our first speaker of the day, Elizabeth Wasuna Ochua. She is the Business Banking Director at Absa Kenya, to start us off with some opening remarks.
Our chief guest, Professor Margaret Kobia, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service and Gender, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am particularly excited to speak at this landmark occasion for our business. I would like to appreciate all the guests for gracing this event as we mark another milestone that will create great success for the women in the country and beyond borders. I would like to recognize all women and men at Absa who made this launch possible. Thank you for your hard work and commitment in making the Women in Business proposition a reality. Today's launch could not have come at a better time, as we recently marked the International Women's Day celebration under the theme, Choose to Challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, many of us have come from places and have family in places where the labor of women is critical for holding the communities up and together. All too often, their labor and contribution is not always fully recognized. And so also often, women are denied their fair share of access to opportunities. This is a challenge not just in Africa, but across the world. Fortunately, governments and businesses are gradually beginning to appreciate that women's talent and contribution is crucial for development. Personally, I have always insisted that a bird cannot fly with one wing. Likewise, no nation, city, community, or institution can reach its full potential as long as women are left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, the 21st century woman is a go-getter, innovative, dynamic, well-educated, hard-working, and extremely aware. The archaic barriers that held women back are now behind us, and new rules are being written. In the financial sector, there is a growing need to have business solutions tailored specifically for business women, addressing challenges such as lack of access to finance, as well as business information and skills gap. Today, women who make up close to half of the population, both nationally and globally, account for a third of all businesses, contributing to more than half of all business transactions, according to the Central Bank of Kenya. Nevertheless, it is encouraging that women are now in the forefront of economic development in Kenya. Studies show that women save better, repay loans better, are loyal clients, and take advantage of the multiple financial products, making them a top demographic dividend to invest in. To give an example, women reinvest up to 90%, yes, 90% of their income into their families and communities. That money goes into feeding and providing better nutrition for children, educational expenses, and paying for other needs in the family. Even though we know that investing in women creates the true multiplier effect for communities, we somehow have failed to connect the dots. It is therefore incumbent for reasonable societies, institutions, and organizations to continuously furnish opportunities for women in this case. In this case, women in business with opportunities and practical solutions to thrive and prosper. As a true African bank that believes in the special nature of the African woman, who continuously finds unique ways to get things done, we are introducing a new Women in Business proposition, which we are calling the Absa She account, taking into consideration the unique needs of the woman entrepreneur in Kenya. We believe that Absa's She proposition not only addresses these challenges, but also opens them up to new socioeconomic opportunities which they can tap into, build connections, and disrupt industries. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most successful women of our times and media personality, Oprah Winfrey, once said, "Follow your passion and you will find your purpose." This is the vision of Absa She proposition, which merges both the evolving financial and social needs of the woman entrepreneur by connecting them to relevant networks throughout their business journey. In depth, the Absa She proposition provides a competitive and attractive offering that provides specialized credit framework, an insurance proposition for both personal and business purposes, as well as non-financial proposition that help women entrepreneurs and business owners hone their business skills. The Absa She proposition is one of a kind as it bridges existing gaps and needs by providing management and training skills, and is flexible and has diverse loan products to meet the working capital needs, latest information, international links, and networks, as well as digital solutions that empower women-led and owned businesses, SMEs, and willing learners wishing to grow their side hustle. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the outstanding offerings under our credit proposition in that women businesses will access unsecured lending of up to 10 million repayable over 5 years for existing borrowers and 7 million for the new borrowers repayable in 4 years, and a grace period of 60 days to be granted on a case-by-case basis. A massive boost for business currently battling the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Another unique differentiator for the Absa She account is the free access to international markets through our partnerships with the International Trade Center, as well as local markets through our local partners. This platform is a gateway to opportunities and entrepreneurial communities for different segments of SME who are looking to increase their customer and client reach, adding a positive effect to their business. In addition, our Women in Business proposition shall offer mentorship and coaching. business advisory, and online training to women business owners, equipping them with critical financial best services skills that evolves and upscales their businesses from one level to the next. This proposition also provides insurance cover for all insurable business risks, as well as medical motor insurance at competitive rates. Those that we love and care about most have not been left behind in this proposition. This proposition also comes with a free Absa Junior Savings Account at 7% interest for your little ones. Ladies and gentlemen, there are numerous benefits and packages that come with the Absa She account, but most importantly, as a force for good, we appreciate that Women in Business proposition is more of a mutual relationship to prosperity. It is a new opening, an opportunity for women entrepreneurs to thrive and tackle challenges that they face when meeting their daily needs for family and their health and personal comfort amidst the uncertain environment we find ourselves with COVID-19. Now, women entrepreneurs can grow and prosper their business by taking up the Absa She account, which is more than a financial solution to your business needs, as it provides a holistic approach, both financial and non-financial advantages, with short to long benefits for your enterprise. In conclusion, I would like to end with some wise words from American fashion entrepreneur who once equipped, "To be successful, be unique. To be successful, be unique." I, however, choose to challenge that to be successful, you must also choose uniquely. We should take opportunity to celebrate the successful achievements of women in business and of men and women who have given their time and effort as we strive to achieve equality. These are the role models for the next generation. Thank you for all your listening, and thank you very much for joining us today. At this point, I'd like to introduce our Managing Director, Jeremy Awori, to make his comments as we usher in the Absa Women in Business proposition. Thank you.
Madam CS, Professor Margaret Kobia, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs, partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a very good morning. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the official launch of our new Women in Business proposition. I feel honored to be among great women who are thriving and leading the way in different spaces within our society. I would like to particularly thank you, Professor Margaret Kobia, for accepting to preside over this event as our chief guest, and to commend you and your leadership in rallying both the private sector and government to partner in advocating for gender equity and equality. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Noreen Thiga, who is representing Anne Mutahi, the Senior Advisor to the President on SME development. You're doing a great job in the development of small and medium-sized businesses across our country through increasing access to finance and markets. Thank you for all you are doing to promote the empowerment of SMEs and in particular women in business in Kenya. Let me also say a big thank you to all our partners who have held our hand and walked with us throughout this journey step by step. Thank you for honoring our invitation and being part of this event today. Ladies and gentlemen, our gender diversity story at Absa Bank Kenya is strong and has set the pace for inclusion not just in the banking sector, but across the economy. It dates to over 40 years ago when Dr. Mary Okello became the first female branch manager at Barclays at a time when the banking industry was highly discriminatory against women. This is a time when women were not allowed to operate bank accounts or borrow money without the approval of male relatives such as their husbands, brothers, or sons. Over time, our commitment to diversity and inclusion has paid off and played a significant role in advancing the gender equality agenda across economic segments. In 2014, we became the first listed company to achieve a 50-50 gender balance at the board level. And today, we are very proud that we are one of the most diverse organizations with 48% representation of women in our employee population. Last year, we instituted a group-wide Women Manifesto, which outlines specific initiatives that promote diversity and inclusion across the bank under the sponsorship of our group CEO and chairman. We also became signatories of the UN program Target Gender Equality, whose main purpose is to continue bridging the gender gap. But the job is nowhere near done. As a country, we still have significant milestones to cover before we can claim to have fully embraced diversity. Women are still faced with many real and perceptual hurdles that have tipped the scales against them and made it more difficult for them to succeed with certain opportunities. For instance, land ownership, which is a big determining factor to accessing credit from financial institutions. Women only hold less than 10% of registered title deeds in Kenya, which means that it is more difficult for them to access secured credit from financial institutions. And this is yet the fact that they constitute over 50% of the country's population and over 30% of registered businesses. At a global level, the International Finance Corporation estimates that over 70% of women-led SMEs across every nation are either financially unserved or underserved. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a glaring anomaly, and if we don't do anything to help overcome these structural challenges, we are setting ourselves up for failure as a country. Inclusion is not just a nice thing to do, it is the right thing to do and a key success factor that the business community and country leadership should embrace. That is the motivation behind the launch of the Absa She business account, which is tailor-made for the needs of women, the woman entrepreneur, whether you are starting out in business or running a big corporation. What makes this proposition even more exciting is that it is packaged in a way that offers more value than just financial solutions. In addition to the financial support pillar, this proposition offers women entrepreneurs access to mentorship and to coaching, access to information and training, as well as access to trade opportunities within the local and international markets. Through the Absa She business account, we're today committing to empower over 1 million women entrepreneurs across the country over the next 5 years with requisite financial and non-financial support to scale up and take their businesses to the next level. We recognize that this is an uphill task, given that as a country, we only have slightly above 500,000 women-owned registered businesses, but therein lies the opportunity. We need to encourage as many entrepreneurs as possible to register their businesses, formalize their operations, and maintain good records of their transactions. These are important factors that determine entrepreneurs' ability to attract investment, credit, and other business opportunities. These lessons are an integral part of our new proposition. I encourage you all to talk to us as you sign up. We will be working with our wide range of partners, including the International Trade Center, ITC, Kenya National Chambers of Commerce and Industries, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, development finance institutions, our corporate customers, among other institutions, to scale the impact of our financial and non-financial interventions towards women entrepreneurs. We will also be reaching out to more public and private sector partners to walk this journey with us. As I conclude, I wish to acknowledge the deliberate effort by the government through the Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs, led by CS Professor Kobia, in driving policy dialogue to tackle legal, regulatory, and institutional environments that constrain opportunities for women. Let me also take this opportunity to appreciate our partners in financing activities that promote gender equality. I would also like to reiterate my full commitment to continuing advancing the gender diversity agenda in our organization as well as in the financial sector. I want to take this opportunity before I introduce our chief guest to recognize our guest, who I will introduce in a moment, as somebody who is extremely committed to progressing the agenda for women and for youth. We have worked with her over the years on various initiatives, and I can say she's extremely personally committed to making a difference in this area. So please join me now in welcoming the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Youth and Gender Affairs, Professor Margaret Kobia, to make a few remarks. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, for inviting me. Let me restart by recognizing the chairperson and the board members of Absa, Mr. Jeremy Awori, Managing Director, Absa Bank, Kenya, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor and a privilege for me to be back at the launch of the Women in Business proposition by Absa Kenya. Allow me to thank the board of directors for taking action and recognizing diversity and inclusion matters. I'm particularly happy because today they have decided to progress the commitment made earlier. As we all recognize that women face various challenges of access to finance, marketing, management skills, training and mentorship, I'm glad that the board and the management have decided to take this hands-on. Let me also appreciate the contribution of His Excellency the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, and how he has been in the forefront in championing women's empowerment. We know top-level leadership, political leadership especially, really matters if women have to make progress towards leadership in the organization. This top leadership includes that of the board, and in government, that of the president and all the other political players. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to join fellow Kenyans in acknowledging this historical and momentous period for Kenyan women. Through a competitive process, and for the very first time in Kenya, a woman, Lady Justice Martha Koome, has been nominated for a position of Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. I have no doubt she will increase access to justice for entrepreneurs, some of them who are with us, both women and men. What does the nomination of Lady Justice Martha Koome mean? I believe it means struggle towards inclusion and diversity is an unworthy effort. We now know that with a vision, handwork, integrity, and commitment to one's purpose, positive change is possible. Kenyan women now believe that while Mother Koome will not be the first woman Chief Justice, she will also certainly not be the last to have that position. For that, we say congratulations. Today also, from yesterday, the visiting of His Excellency Samia Suluhu, the President of the Republic, the very first woman, is also something we should not celebrate as women, both those in business and those in other sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, today, I'm glad to be with Absa, Kenya, a bank that is unique, pioneer in giving the opportunity to break the proverbial glass ceiling. Way back in 1967, we recognized the contribution of Dr. Mary Okello, right from Absa Bank, when it was bankless, our career, and in government, we celebrate her as one of the trailblazers in this country. It is in that spirit that today I understand that Absa sales force in Kenya is almost 50-50 representation of women and men, and that of 48% of the bank's staff are women. I note with appreciation that women occupy 32% of the directorship position at Absa. We are reminded by research that where gender diversity is valued, decisions made are better and performance improves to the tune of that percent. The bank's proactive effort to get competent women to take up their place in the world of entrepreneurship and business are indeed notable, and we must congratulate you once again. Some of your laudable efforts include: 1, partnering with the International Trade Center in July 2016 to create opportunities for women in business entrepreneurs to participate in the global economy by building their capacities on financial literacy and entrepreneurship, eventually benefiting more than 5,500 women. 2, launching Absa She account that calls upon the bank to continue creating equality in its workplace and across the supply chain by ensuring that women's voice is heard while running an executive coaching program to get them ready for senior leadership position. 3, being a signatory of the UN program dubbed as Target Gender Equality, whose purpose is to continue bridging the gender gaps in all aspects. 4, the announcement of the 2020 of 10 billion Kenya shillings to advance credit to women-owned small businesses as part of Absa's new customer value proposition. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the Ministry of Public Service and Gender, through the implementation of national policy on gender and development, has spearheaded the actualization of provision of gender equality in the Constitution 2010. The State Department for Gender works around 4 thematic areas, namely leadership and decision-making, socioeconomic empowerment, gender-based violence, and women and peace in security. I'm sure all women entrepreneurs can relate very much in all those aspects because they are interrelated. To be able to be empowered economically, you also need to develop some leadership qualities. We know now women economic empowerment is determined in giving women a voice to make decisions on matters that affect their lives. This is why we are pleased with Absa for launching Women in Business product proposal. It is my hope that those of us who will get support from Absa will work around the government's Big Four agenda. These include manufacturing, food security, and nutrition, affordable housing, and universal health coverage. There are business opportunities around the Big Four, and that would create more employment and uplift a certain number of people from poverty. All these efforts of the Big Four and the support that financial sector gives are aimed at increasing employment and reducing poverty in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to mention that COVID-19 pandemic has caused untold social and economic suffering to the society. The impact has great setback to gender equality and the disruption of life. The disruptions call for change in the way we do business by identifying new opportunities that may be pursued to save life and livelihood. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to challenge all of us to explore the roles we can play, both individually and as corporate actors, to help in combating the effect of COVID-19 pandemic, including violence against women and girls that has increased. I wish to appreciate the role played by Jeremy Awori by being a member of the COVID board. That has gone way to alleviate the suffering of the many Kenyans who are impacted negatively by COVID. Therefore, all of us, perhaps this might be an issue for consideration under the bank's work for good plan to look at how they can be able to support, especially those women or those communities who might be experiencing difficulties from COVID. And when they pull through, we are told when you support women, they're able to pull up themselves, they're able to lift everybody else, and then reduce poverty in this country. I thank you very much and look forward for the launch of the Absa Women Business Proposition in a very short while. I thank you.
Madam CS, Professor Margaret Kobia, thank you so much. We are absolutely honored that you would be here with us to celebrate this incredible milestone. We continue to celebrate your passion and appreciate your support for women in business. Now, we are almost coming to the launch moment, but just before that, I'd just like to reiterate that the Absa She Business account is a tailor-made business proposition for women in business. As a woman in business myself, I am excited about this, and I'm told we've got around 502 people who have joined us this morning for this particular launch. Thank you so much. We are waiting to hear from you. Feel free to leave your comments, what you feel about the proposition this morning, and the hashtag to use is Absa She account. And just a quick run through the specific pillars of this proposition: access to affordable financing, access to coaching and mentorship, access to markets and networking opportunities, access to information through training programs with key partners. And just before we get into the launch moment, I'd like to introduce a video just to tell us a little bit more about Absa's commitment to women in Kenya.
when you have the right gender mix, the right gender diversity, you get better outcomes. And I think that holds true even when it comes to supporting women entrepreneurs. And we want to make sure that we don't just talk about it, that we live it on a day-to-day basis. I think you've seen here on the She Trades KE front, they've got bold ambitions. When they said they wanted to work with 3 million women, empowering them and taking their businesses international across the world, we said that's something we want to be involved with and play our part. We've subsequently moved a long way since that date, and now we've even enhanced our products even further. We believe we have arguably what is one of the best SME offerings, our Wezesha Biashara series of offerings. And in there, one of the things we offer is unsecured loans of up to 10 million with a repayment tenor of up to 6 years. And I think that goes to the point of covering off this challenge of not having security. Because I think with 10 million, you can do a lot to fulfill contracts. You can do a lot to get your business up and running.
So we have very, very strong women in key positions in Barclays, and that's all the way across the ranks and also at the board. Absa we put our money where our mouth is. And I think it's only possible because Absa says we want women to take their place at the table and we want their voices to be heard.
Let me also congratulate Absa for the transition you have taken, because I think you have understood the world, where the world is going. You have understood with these changes, I think you are better off being a continental bank. Through She Trends initiative, I see an impressive lineup of champions of gender equality and women empowerment with focus on one of the key drivers of the economy, entrepreneurship.
I want everyone in this room to move away from being referred to as a little kabiashara to being businesses that are sustainable, businesses that change lives, businesses that are recognized, businesses more than anything that can access this 10 billion shillings that as Absa we're putting out there.
Say, if you don't support a woman to do what they need to do and to do it well, then really we're losing out on opportunity. As we sat in the various sessions, as we were coming up with this conversation around women and the propositions that we wanted to do around with Absa, as we were changing our brand from Barclays, of course, into Absa, it was one of those conversations where we had to be intentional to put women in the center of this conversation.
So if you really want to do business, if you want to get into the big ticket items, you need to start making the effort. You've been told if you want to get into energy, but also understand those guys, they whip each other, they cut each other's legs, they come with their studs all over. So if you're a woman who can't hack it, just first understand how is that field, and you know how you want to navigate, but the money is there, the opportunities are there, but you need to understand. First, it starts with rejection and frustration, and then education, and then acceptance.
Well, now the moment has come for us to officially launch the She Business Account by Absa. I'd like to welcome up on stage our chief guest, Professor Margaret Kobia, our Managing Director, Jeremy Awori, Elizabeth Wasuna, and Moses Mudhui to come and join us on stage so we can formally launch the Absa She Business Account. So we'll have a countdown now. Ten, 9,
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 10, 9, Wow, congratulations to the Absa team for putting together the Absa She Business account. And as we say, as we have just heard, we have access to affordable financing, access to coaching and mentorship, access to markets and networking opportunities, access to information through training programs with key partners. We'll get into a photo session now. Please stand on stage and I will give you the directions in just a moment. Okay. Well, a big thank you to our guests and our hosts. And now we are almost ready to get into the panel discussion. So we will play 1 or 2 videos for us to set up the stage. We will be right back. I want to also let the members of the media know that we will have a Q&A session right after this panel discussion. Do stay with us. And right after the 45-minute panel discussion, we will then be able to have a Q&A specifically for the media. So don't go too far. We'll be back in a moment.
Today I'm very excited to be talking to you about the Absa She business account. And I think this is really powerful. And the reason I'm excited about it is the 4 pillars that underlie this proposition. What does this mean for our customers? It provides access to affordable financing. It provides access to mentorship and coaching. It provides access to markets and access to information. All these 4 pillars.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Absa. We have launched a very exciting proposition for women in business, which is a very exciting opportunity for our customers and women in business across the country. We have a lending proposition that allows women in business to borrow up to 10 million unsecured. We have up to 50 million invoice discounting. We have up to 12 million LPO financing, FCY accounts, junior accounts, debit cards, credit cards, and many others. I welcome you to Absa, where we get things done and bring possibilities to life.
My name is Joan Nateiban Ore, and I come from Suguta in Samburu County. I am a beneficiary of Absa scholarship program that has enabled me to pursue my degree in Bachelor of Real Estate in JKUAT. My mom is a primary school teacher. I would always see my mom going through this tough time, and she never gave up. When I joined university, I thought of applying for HELB to ensure my smooth running of my education. I got a notification from HELB. They sent me a message and told me that I am a potential beneficiary of Absa Scholarship Fund, and they gave me the link to the website for application and the whole process. I never had to deal with the last-minute struggle about rushing, clearing my fee balance, not sitting for examination because I have fee balances. I am in 3rd year currently, and I'm in my last semester. I would like to thank Absa so much for this opportunity. Same way they stepped in my life and changed it, same way I do also one day want to just touch someone's life. Any opportunity presented to you, take advantage of it. It does not matter whether it's the 10th opportunity, the 9th, it doesn't matter. Just take advantage of it.
I'm called Jane Jiro from Embu County. Now I am a teacher by profession, but I'm retired. I am a proud winner of Shida Meter promotion in Embu County. I joined Absa when I was very young. But I have been there for the last 46 years. If it was not for the bank, I don't think I would have been where I am right now. And the ultimate prize that God has decided to give me of 1 million shillings. Those that have not joined the bank, I'm sure they'll come in, they come on board. I feel good, I feel excited, I feel happy, I feel everything good. This money, I'm sure it is going to assist me live and be comfortable. And so I would welcome everybody who has not joined the bank to come. Absa is the bank. Today was the crowning of everything, because now I have gotten my money, and so I'm happy about it. I have joined the group of millionaires. I'll tell everybody in Kenya that you are the bank to join.
Nafanya biashara yangu Naivasha town na duka langu linaitwa Kampala Stores. Nilifungua account ya Absa last year October 2019. Absa walinielimisha na wakanifunza jinsi ya kuweka pesa kwa bank. Nilipokea simu kutoka Absa Bank, nikaambiwa kwamba nimewin 1 million. Kwa kweli hii promotion ni ya ukweli na naweza advise customers wenzangu wa Absa Bank waendelee kudeposit pesa zao wakitumia pay bill 30 ndio wapate chance ya kuwin vile mimi nimewin 1 million. Hii 1 million nimeshinda, napanga kutumia kwa kuongeza stock katika hili duka langu na pia kulipia watoto school fees. 1 million, Absa is my bank, Absa is my bank. Kwa kweli mcheza kwao hutunzwa, mimi nimetunzwa kwetu.
I'm called Jane Jiro from Embu County. Now I am a teacher by profession, but I'm retired. I am a proud winner of Shida Meter promotion in Embu County. I joined Absa when I was very young, but I have been there for the last 46 years. If it was not for the bank, I don't think I would have been where I am right now. And the ultimate prize that God has decided to give me of 1 million shillings. Those that have not joined the bank, I'm sure they'll come in, they come on board. I feel good, I feel excited, I feel happy, I feel everything good. This money, I'm sure it is going to assist me live and be comfortable. And so I would welcome everybody who has not joined the bank to come. Absa is the bank. Today was the crowning of everything, because now I have gotten my money. And so I'm happy about it. I have joined the group of millionaires. I'll tell everybody in Kenya that you are the bank to join.
My name is Joan Nateiban Ore, and I come from Suguta in Samburu County. I am a beneficiary of Absa scholarship program that has enabled me to pursue my degree in Bachelor of Real Estate in JKUAT. My mom is a primary school teacher. I would always see my mom going through this tough time, and she never gave up. When I joined university, I thought of applying for help to ensure my smooth running of my education. I got a notification from HELB. They sent me a message and told me that I am a potential beneficiary of Absa Scholarship Fund. And they gave me the link to the website for application and the whole process. I never had to deal with the last minute struggle about rushing, clearing my fee balance, not sitting for examination because I have fee balances. I am in 3rd year currently, and I'm in my last semester. I would like to thank Absa so much for this opportunity. Same way they stepped in my life and changed it, same way I do also one day want to just touch someone's life. Any opportunity presented to you, take advantage of it. It does not matter whether it's the 10th opportunity, the 9th, it doesn't matter. Just take advantage of it.
Panelists for this conversation, which will be focusing on the role of the financial sector in creating a conducive environment for women entrepreneurs. And thank you so much for your feedback and your questions that are already coming through quite fast and furious. We appreciate that you have made time to be with us right from the beginning and into this panel discussion. Members of the media, I am informed that if you do have any questions, you can also ask this through the different platforms that you are in, but we will still have a press briefing right after this panel discussion, and at the end of the program we'll have to answer your questions specifically to the media, the MD Jeremiah Wari and Head of Business Banking Elizabeth Wasuna Ochwa. All right, so I'll introduce my panelists now, starting with Noreen Nthiga. She's the Head of Program Management and Development at the SME Advisory Unit, here representing Ann Mutahi, Senior Advisor to the President on SME Development. We've also got Christine Mwai Marandu, Country Credit Director, Absa Bank Kenya PLC, Nancy Modhoni, National Vice Chair, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, that's KNCCI, and joining us virtually is Anna Claudia Zaleski Mori, Head of Partnerships, She Trades Initiatives, International Trade Center. Ladies, thank you all so much for being with us today. And I'm excited because it's an all-woman panel. And of course, it's a great day for women in business. So I am really looking forward to an engaging conversations. And thank you all to the ladies as well who have joined us via the virtual platform. So I'll just kick off with, you know, a quick round of what do you feel about today? You know, you've listened to the proposition. Some of you are women in business, from the bank, from government as well. Where's your mind at? Let's start with you, Noreen.
Thank you, Terry-Ann. I think for us, the launch of the Women in Business proposition is very exciting because it gives the women the platform to have focused attention when it comes to access to finance. And they've gone a step ahead. They're not looking at access to finance only. They're looking at how do they capacity build the women in order for them to strengthen their businesses. We've also heard about networking. We've heard about public and private partnerships. So for us, we feel that it's a well-rounded product that would work to the benefit of our Kenyan women.
All right. Christy?
Thank you, Terry-Ann. For me, I'm excited, I'm thrilled. It's been a culmination of a very long journey. This journey began in 2016, Terry-Ann, when we started the training with ITC, and to date we've trained 6,500 women, and we've picked insights from them. So this product is a culmination of all the work and all the insights that we've gotten from our women clients.
Wow!
So thrilled to be here.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you so much, Terry-Ann. I think for us, women in business, it's so exciting that somebody is thinking about us. What Absa, the product is offering training, it's offering mentoring, it's offering you to open an account and be taught how to run your business, it's giving you networking opportunities, access to finance, and all the things that we've been looking for. And more importantly, if I'm able to go to a bank and sign and be taught even how to fill the form, because we get intimidated. We women in business get intimidated. So I'm excited that we are at the table, and I'm excited that finally Absa has given us a product. Let me finish by saying congratulations. Absa, thank you for listening to the women, and thank you for giving us a product just for us.
Wow, thank you so much, Nancy. And of course for bringing in the issue of, you know, sometimes we think, or people say, oh, when they have money, they'll be fine. Yes. But it's so much more than that. Yes. It's capacity building. Yes. It's training us. It's telling us how to fill the forms, how to apply for a loan. So I'm excited about that. So let's start off with government. And I want to find out from, you know, where does how does the government prioritize women? Are we a priority at all? You know, sitting you know, from your perspective as the SME unit in the Executive Office of the President, where are we from a priority perspective?
Terry-Ann, thank you. And I'd like to assure you that women are a major priority for the government, as you've just heard from Madam Kobia this morning. We realize, and quite understandably so, that we're a youthful nation. So majority of the Kenyans are actually the youth. And having said that, 48% of women, of businesses in Kenya are women-owned and women-led. So that's you know, that's a number that you cannot miss. So, and then also further, we realize that women actually hold the households and the communities, because 65% of any household income is given out by the women. So you see, based on that, you realize that women are actually not only holding homes, but holding communities. So as a government, we are quite deliberate. We know right now, currently, we have the issue of unemployment. And even if you look at these women-owned businesses, you realize that if I'm a woman owner, I employ 78% other women in my business, as opposed to a male-owned business that will employ 20% women. So you can see women are actually playing a major role in the whole entire ecosystem of the MSME sector. So we take them very seriously. We're very deliberate in our efforts. We look at the issues across stream, if it's access to finance, if it's access to markets, give them a level playing field. And even when it comes to government opportunities, you realize that the women and the youth actually get a higher advantage. So for us, it is a priority. I must say that.
All right, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm sure in a moment you'll tell us a little bit more about that. Christine, I'll come to you, and towards something Nancy alluded to about our fear as women to just even walk to a bank to ask for money. And there's now, I know it's a little bit easier with digital lending, which Absa also has, for women to, especially in the micro space, to access financing. And I've seen some of the questions also coming through for us to reiterate a little bit more. So just tell us what's in it for a woman. What's in it for a woman who is not an Absa customer already?
Thank you very much, Terry-Ann. And I must say that this SHE offering that we've launched today is both for the existing woman client and any new to bank that's looking to sign up. What this product is offering is an augmented product. It's integrated. It's giving you the financial aspect and the technical aspect, non-technical aspect. So what we're calling non-financial services. And studies have showed, back in 2018, Terry-Ann, the World Bank report showed that giving non-financial services to women help them to gain knowledge, networking, financial skills. And those skills are important, Terry-Ann, to ensure that a woman becomes bankable and therefore creditworthy. So through our pillars, access to information and training, access to markets, whether local or international, access to mentoring and coaching, those three will serve as the foundation for the fourth pillar, which is access to financing. So there'll be women who, at this point in time, may not be bankable. They don't have their financial records in order. They haven't put systems in place. They haven't, they are still, maybe they opened their business last year. So last year, a lot of women opened online businesses, cottage industries. We can work with them, so they can come to us and we walk the journey with them to make them bankable and credit-worthy. So this is a product that is both the financial aspect and the non-financial aspect. And if we combine that together, I'm sure we'll see women grow in the pathway from the small trader or businesswoman all the way to the manufacturer.
So we do not need to fear, no matter how small our businesses are. So my bad, I actually forgot to to include Anna Mori in our opening remarks. Anna, my deepest apologies. I'd like to rope you in now. Just give us some opening remarks. What do you feel about today? You've been with us since the launch this morning. Where are you at?
Can you hear me well?
Yes. Loud and clear.
All right. Good morning, Terry. No problem. Good morning, fellow panelists and participants. First of all, thank you, Absa, for inviting me to join all the way from Geneva, representing the She Trades Initiative of ITC, a joint agency of the United Nations and World Trade Organization. Well, for me, today is a very special day. We started our collaboration back in 2016 with Managing Director Jeremy Awori, with Susan Situma and many others, and here we are. Still motivated, still energized to launch a new phase, a new chapter to empower women. And I really wish I could be there with all of you. I'm already missing some of the team members, and I'm already missing a lot Ugali and Sukuma Wiki. But anyway, this pandemic's not allowing us to be closer, but definitely we need to keep this partnerships alive, such as the ones with Absa, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, CAPSA, and AWEP, and many other organizations, including the government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I'm very energized, very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, and we'll be back to you in just a moment. So Nancy, I'd like to rope you into the conversation at this point. Women often always lack resources or collateral in some spaces, whether we're looking at land or property rights and markets. So just tell us from a National Chamber perspective, some of the policies or some of the conversations that are being had now to enable women have more in their hand for them to negotiate better or get access to credit.
Thank you so much. One of the things that at the chambers we are doing for the women is to train them. I think our biggest problem is not lack of financing or lack of opportunities, is actually our own self-awareness that you can actually get it. So it's information. We are deliberate on giving women information. The other thing is that today, any woman can own land, either by buying land or buying property or by inheriting. So we are giving people legal information where they know their rights. Once you know your right, it's easier to own the properties or to own and to be part of certain conversations. I'm extremely excited because with Absa, you can actually get 10 million unsecured loan, even as a woman. This is a product for us women. So anytime you want to buy a property, we have properties, we have land that is available in that price threshold. And in fact, that's a lot. So you can start where we are. And with Absa, I am very confident that they are giving us a product that wherever I am, I can start. If I want a plot for 200,000, they can be able to support me. So I would like to tell the women that there is no legal barrier that you cannot own property and you cannot trade in property. That's number one. Let me put the other second thing that is very important is at the chamber, we train people. And I'm very happy with our partnership with Absa. We continue to train women in different sectors, whether you're in agribusiness, whether you're in textile, whether you're in real estate, whether you're a teacher, wherever you are, we have training programs that you can plug in. And these training programs teach you how to start your business, to retain your business, and to grow your business. And as you grow your business, we then share with you the opportunities that you can plug in and own them. So right now, my excitement is that we've been given wings to fly. So we are ready to go.
And you raise a valid point on partnerships and collaborations. And Anna, I'd like to ask this question to you in terms of working together. And I know that Absa is one of the partners that you have on board from a collaborative perspective. So when it comes to partnerships and mobilizing resources, how important is this? And how can we create more strategic partnerships so that it's a win-win situation for women and for businesses and organizations as well that cater towards the empowerment of women?
Right, thank you. Well, I think we cannot forget that we are in the time of a crisis, right? And right now, partnerships are key. And talking about this pandemic, the very word pandemic means pertaining to all people, right? Pandemos. And perhaps the starkest, the biggest division is that between men and women, because women were hit much harder by this pandemic than female entrepreneurs were hit much harder than many male entrepreneurs, because they tend to be in less profitable sectors sometimes, or have smaller companies, etc. So I really would like to highlight the importance of smart partnerships to ensure that the impacts of COVID do not risk rolling back the fragile gains made in female economic participation. All of us, your Absa, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, and many other organizations, we have been pushing so much for gender equality. We need to protect whatever we achieve right now. And we know that the demand and supply chain disruptions caused by COVID-19 exacerbated problems such as cash flow, access to finance by women. And of course, we need to help them to avoid closing their doors and stimulate their growth. And what policymakers can do, it's exactly what the fellow panelists were saying. Governments can create incentives for financial institutions to create financing options that match the needs of small businesses led by women, but also governments could support gender lens investing within their national investment strategies to address more the systemic inequalities that women face, and push and mandate financial institutions to collect and report on quality gender disaggregated data. More and more data is still very important. We need to know where these women are coming from. If SMEs, how much % of these SMEs are owned or led by women? What's the percentage of their employees that are women, etc. And financiers like yourselves or private equity firms, impact investors, they might find useful to partner with organizations, women's business associations, such as many that you have in Kenya, but also other organizations such as ITC, who are directly doing the work of de-risking investments, right? Through the provision of capacity building, not only capacity building in terms of financial literacy, access to finance, etc., but also in cost of production, quality standards, packaging, negotiation with buyers, or export strategy, because these organizations organizations are already doing this due diligence process, de-risking this potential pipeline of eligible women-led businesses that can be just then connected to basically access all the products and services that Absa is launching today. So I really do believe that Absa is doing an excellent job. You already understood that access to collateral is top #1 barrier for women to benefit from loans, and you're addressing these through partnership with corporates to support women in their supply chains, because sometimes women do not need loans, right? What they need are non-cash instruments such as guarantees or these other services such as mentoring. So yes, over to you. So power of partnerships, this is what I would like to highlight today.
All right. Thank you, Anna. I'd like to rope in Christine at this moment on the conversation about guarantees, which is something that's really taking shape across Africa. Just elaborate what that means for us, especially for the women who are watching this conversation right now. Is it part of the offer? And, you know, what does a guarantee do for you as a woman looking to grow in business?
Thank you, Terry-Ann. Firstly, if you don't mind, I'd like to respond to something that Nancy said, which is there's availability of the 10 million facility. Yeah. But I must add that as a lady comes to approach the bank for that, they must ask themselves, have they done the analysis to say, if I take this loan, what will be the added revenue or incremental revenue that I'll generate to pay the loan? Because sometimes, and I've had friends in my network who tell me, Christine, the worst thing I did was just take the loan. I hadn't thought through the end-to-end. And as a consequence, I've lost my shares, I've lost my assets, my family is impacted. So it's important that women keep financial records, have financial planning, and seek advice even as they take the loan. But coming back to your question around the guarantees, as Anna mentioned, it's about de-risking. Sometimes women on their own, as they don't have the collateral, so it's hard to take a risk on them. So what you have is a risk-sharing mechanism that enables, you know, the provider of the risk share to take part of that risk, and then, you know, the client to take part of another risk. But sometimes there's a perception that I don't have to pay that facility back because it's like a grant, and I would caution against that. So what I am saying is that at the end of the day, a woman must first prove to herself that what she's borrowing for is actually serviceable. She can service the facility. At the same time, she must, sometimes entrepreneurs, by virtue of being entrepreneurs, and Nancy, I know you're one of them, is we tend to be optimistic. Too optimistic, maybe, overly optimistic. And I think we need to be careful about that. Because as a bank, we'll ask you the question, what's the worst case scenario? So what if you don't get this tender? What if you don't get paid on time? How will you pay back the facility? So it's important. And that's why the pillar of information and online training is so critical. Because we'll help you to work through the scenario planning. Ask you what's your fallback, what's your budget. So that's how I would say.
All right, thank you so much. So we've got a question from Betty Otieno Giko. She says, do you support women in the farming business? And before I get to a response for that, I'd like to ask a question to Noreen about agriculture and agribusiness. And there's been such a huge shift, you know, where women are getting more and more involved in the agribusiness space. A report by the World Bank recently showed that women are moving from subsistence farming, and yes, they are farming for subsistence, even in the rural areas, but then are beginning to shift into retail and small trade off their farms. So despite that, 15% of agricultural landowners in sub-Saharan Africa are women. I'm not sure about the data for Kenya, but it should be round about the same or even worse. Yet women can feed Africa and can feed Kenya and can be involved in so many more ways. What are some of the things that can be done to ensure more women are in the agribusiness space?
Thank you, Terry-Ann. I think I'd like to agree with the data on the 50% of women being landowners in Africa, because when you look at Kenya, only 10% of women are actually owners of title deeds. So you see that could easily translate to that being true. But now with women in agribusiness, we've seen there's a lot of efforts within this space. We're seeing organizations coming together, there's public and private partnerships, people trying to see what it is that they can do within that space. Right now, we are actually supporting and encouraging the aggregator model because we realize, you know, in the value chain, in the different agricultural value chains, these are the important players because these are the ones offering the extension services, these are the ones offering financing to, you know, to the farmers and basically just holding them up. And it's so interesting because even at community level, they even pay school fees, they even act as banks for some of these farmers. And most of the farmers are actually women. 70% are actually women. So you find that they actually go and deposit their money there. And the aggregator now has a system whereby, you know, they come for their school fees, they come when the children are sick, they need the money for medical purposes. So the aggregator actually plays a very important role. So it would be important to strengthen this aggregator. Unfortunately, only 30% of women are aggregators across the country. So maybe we need to encourage how do we get more ladies getting into that space. Definitely women should be supported. Right now they're going as a farmer, not just the ladies, but just as a farmer, you'll realize that they're going through so much issues and problems. For example, logistics. How do they get their stuff out there? Access to markets. How do we come in and help? Not only just from the government side, but also looking at the private players. How do you step in and help with that? Of course, access to finance is something that the farmers continue to face. So maybe that is something that also needs to be looked at. But I agree with what Maurice says. Right now, the model we should be looking at is a public-private partnership in order to get things going. In Kenya, let's not forget the cost of fuel is very high, so that has impacted a lot, and especially in the agriculture sector. Let us look at what can we do when it comes to the fuel, and also how do we now start bringing up these farmers in an intentional manner, not looking just at a sector or just a value chain, but across the board. How do we bring them up and support them, moving them to the next level? Across the country, we have new markets that have been, you know, sprucing up everywhere in the counties. Just here in Nairobi, you know, take a walk down to Gikomba, you'll see they have, you know, the new Gikomba market. You know, how do we make sure that women get spaces in these markets? How do they get fair, equitable distribution of market spaces?
Nancy, the chamber is devolved, so to speak, and it's represented across the different counties in government, and still on agribusiness, because yes, we're in the city, but agriculture really happens out there. So what is the chamber doing, or what are some of the things that are being done to encourage agribusiness, to encourage women in business, especially to formalize their business, which will then enable them to actually grow?
Thank you so much, Terianne. And I'll add to what she has said. One of the things we are doing is mapping the women. Where are you? I'll give you an example of West Pokot. They are doing honey, they are doing onions. So what are we doing with their onions and their honey? First, we are giving them experts to share with them the best practices. Then once you learn the best practices, that tells you that your produce will be the best. And then we are getting the markets across the leading supermarkets and leading hotels as we open up the market where people can sell their produce. And so for us is mapping the women, training them, giving them capacity, and helping them to take it to the market. And obviously financing is a key obstruction right now. And with Absa, what we have seen, and we've worked with them, and their promise to us is that whichever business our women are in, they'll be able to give them a product that supports them. And it cuts across from money to insurance. Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Can I tell you? Yes, please.
Two things. Firstly, I want to introduce the concept of warehouse financing. So I represent banks in an initiative. There's actually a warehouse receipt council that was established last year. I think you're aware of it, Noreen.
Yes,
and one of the things it's trying to do is to reduce post-harvest losses and facilitate financing. So for that woman who's a farmer, she can be able to take her product to a warehouse, whether it's NCPB or private warehouse, store the product there, avoiding getting it perished, and maintain the quality. And at the right price, she can actually bring it to the bank as a receipt, get funding. So that's a first opportunity this lady will have, and that it's been launched fairly shortly. And the second one is just to mention about the whole value of corporate chains. So within the bank, we have ecosystem banking. So for the aggregators that Noreen is talking about, we have corporates, we've got business banking clients who are in agro-processing, and we can partner with them to provide mentorship and coaching as to how they can grow their businesses in the agro-space.
So I think, Betty, your question has been responded to in terms of, does the bank support women in farming? It does. Anna, I'd like to rope you into that conversation as well from a She Trades perspective. And we have seen, and Christine alluded to it earlier, about a lot of women actually setting up businesses last year at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have seen some partnerships here that have really elevated cottage industries. We're seeing women now, moving from just selling raw product to actually processing in collaboration with government institutions such as Kirdi. And I just want to find out from your perspective, what is She Trades doing to get more women into the agribusiness space? And perhaps you can speak to the women who are watching today. How can they reach you? How can they be part of the She Trades initiative?
Thank you, Terian. Can you just confirm you're hearing me well with no echo or anything like that?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, wonderful. So just picking up before talking about She Trades itself, I totally agree. Indeed, there's a mismatch between supply and demand in finance, and this mismatch is even more prominent in specific sectors such as agriculture. We know that in East African countries, for example, agriculture accounts for just less than 5% of domestic bank lending. So there is indeed a work to be done there. At She Trades, we understood and we developed what we call... Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Anna.
Yes? Okay. So at She Trades, we have developed what we call Gender Toolkit for Agricultural Value Chains, which is a guide to help not only farmers, but all cooperatives, producer organizations, private sector policymakers to really understand the gender inequalities within the agricultural value chains. And our goal is to assess producers, organizations, and companies' gender policies and business practices, as well as influence senior management's concepts of gender equality, because sometimes it's about mindset changing, as well as carry out gender assessment of farming households. And we also train personnel. We'd love to know more about what other panelists mentioned in terms of training personnel on gender sensitization and inclusive practices to deliver services to farmers. We have been working with the Ethical Tea Partnership, enabling women smallholders to register to collect payments for tea themselves rather than having to go through their husbands, etc. And of course, another very important aspect is sourcing more from women farmers. That could be through women-run farms or estates on individual basis. That could be from women smallholder farmers who lease, own, or have user rights to land, or sourcing more from women who have been given a portion of land or some trees by their husbands so they can join producers' organizations or farming schemes. We know at ITC, She Trades, that investing in women makes sense. It makes a business sense. It makes economic sense, and that's why we have been doing this work through what we call She Trades Invest. We have a network of 35 investors, impact investors, private equity firms, commercial banks, and these are financiers that are management ticket sizes between $1,000 to $5 million with a very specific gender focus, and Absa is one of them. So together with these organizations, we are co-delivering investment readiness training to our network of women entrepreneurs and facilitate, we're leading the middle, this disbursement of capital. So if you need grants, if you need loans, if you need equity, if you need debt, we'll be able to help you understand what type of financial instrument you need, first of all, and then connect you to the right type of investor. And just to close, all of these, of course, we are not a financial institution. We facilitate access to finance through our networks of investors, but we do a lot of capacity building on marketing, on e-commerce, on specific value chains, on exports, business management, and so on and so forth. And all women entrepreneurs from across the globe, we have a huge network of women-led businesses from different countries. They're invited to join shetrades.com. So we are a United Nations public good. It's free of charge. You can create your profile. You can find buyers. You can find investors. You can find learning courses free of charge. And this year especially, we are having our She Trades Global Annual event that is taking place in Dubai, at Expo 2020. And it looks like the Olympic Games for women entrepreneurs. We invite 3,000 women entrepreneurs that come sometimes with their turbans or with their saris, etc. Women entrepreneurs looking for doing business with buyers, investors, and learn. It's a 3-day event that is happening in Dubai at Expo 2020 in October. And we always have Absa coming, leading delegations of Kenyan women entrepreneurs and some other women's business associations from the country. So if you would like to participate, do business, meet buyers in B2B meetings, find investors, I invite you to, first of all, register to shetrades.com and then apply to participate to She Trades Global. And I will leave the links on the chat box. Thank you, Terry-Ann.
Thank you, Anna. So I'd like to ask the following question to all the panelists and yourself, Anna, as well, specifically looking at the manufacturing sector. The reason being, a lot of women in business who are in the micro space are still very informal, yet there's a huge potential for this small businesses to actually grow. So what I want to find out from your different perspectives and in the offices that you sit, what is being done to enable women to reach their potential? And I know, Nancy, one of the things that I'm sure you face as well is women saying, you know, I don't want to put my business out there, KRA will follow me, you know. Yet, if you've got your books in order, as Christine has mentioned, if you've got your finances in order, then you can actually grow. And without that, you can't. So what's being done within the different offices that you serve to encourage women in that space to actually take advantage of what's being offered for them to grow? Noreen.
Thank you. I think the reason why there is that hurdle when it comes to all SMEs on their growth is because we don't have a classification and categorization system. We just classify it as MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprise. Yet, what is micro? What are we looking at when we look at micro? And I think the ball has started rolling in this court because now we have the startup bill that will be finalized by Parliament. We have the MSME bill that clearly, gives us a rough indication of what kind of support should be provided where. And it's through this that then institutions are guided on how it is that they will support this. But I feel there's, as our office at the SME Advisory Unit, there's more that can be done. It starts from knowing who is micro, who is small, who is medium, Then we are able to know what kind of support does micro get. Because even as we upload the products that we're launching, we need to be focused. Is it for small? Is it for micro? Is it for medium? Who is it intended for? Because it cannot, what we're offering cannot cut across. And this also hampers when it comes to incentives. Then the government is not able to offer incentives because who is it directed to? Yeah? And when, if you have a startup, when do you stop being a startup and move to the next level? Yeah? So these are the things we're looking at and we're discussing very closely. And later on, I'll allude to that on the legal framework.
All right. Christine, we've got a question about, a business that's starting out. And as you respond to that, perhaps you can also respond to one of our viewers. I'm seeing now we have 597 viewers who are watching. So thank you all so much for staying on. So Claire Omondi asks, how can you support women working to start business? And perhaps with that, you can combine the earlier question about women in the MSME space, women who are really running small businesses, perhaps just looking for 20,000 shillings, which they can pay back in 20 days, 30 days.
Thank you, Terry-Ann. So in terms of the woman who's starting up, it comes back to what is her business plan. Has she surveyed the market? What has she done as her due diligence before she starts? And I think I must say, yes, we're willing to support, but sometimes there's a view that I come to you with my business plan and you fund 100%. Now that's not going to be possible. As we say, Nancy, I'm sure you've heard the saying, you must have your skin in the game. Yeah, you must show that you yourself believe in your business. So I think there's opportunity for women to set aside some form of saving and put it into their business and begin to prove as a proof of concept. And that will enable other investors, whether it's banks or other institutions, to then have a look at it and say, is it something that's viable, that I'm willing to put? Because we need to think about it, Terry-Ann. By giving a loan, we're actually giving depositors money. which we're holding in trust. So there's a responsibility that we get that money back. So we want to invest in you, we want to support you, but you also have to have shown something as a proof of concept. I then can come to to Noreen's question around, there's a one-size-fits-all, fit all, and I think there's no one-size-fits-all. In terms of how do we grow the business to become the large manufacturer, allow me to quote an anecdote from one of our corporate clients, a female entrepreneur, who I spoke to recently. She was telling me, Christine, do you know that for a woman to succeed and grow, and she's got a formidable business, she must work 5 times harder to start this business. And she was saying, network. Yeah? Know your business, become a subject matter expert. So invest in yourself, invest in knowing what your competition is doing. And she has done that. She knows what her challenges are doing. She's grown her brand. And even in COVID, she's actually expanded her product range. Wow. And the one thing she told me that I think all women need to think about is that she said, I am an employee of my business. So my company employs me. What that means is that I take a salary. I take an allowance. I don't plunder my business. I don't divert cash flow. I plow my profits back into the business. So women need to start thinking legacy, Terian. Yeah? Because if they dream big and they think legacy, they will grow.
Oh, I love that. I love that legacy issue, and it's a conversation I think whose time was yesterday. We need to, if something happens, God forbid, touch wood, where will my business be tomorrow? Who will run it? So I love that. Nancy, let's come to you. Small business, how do they formalize? How do they get into a place where they can actually grow?
Thank you so much, Ariane, and thank you for your comments on that issue. At the chamber, our president, Richard Gatia, has pushed the women, especially the MSME, to start growing. What have we done? We have partnered with people like MasterCard, who is giving the women up to 31,000 shillings to run your business where you are. What we have found, as we all know, women are good paymasters, women are loyal, and women come back. So the women have started growing. So when you get your 31,000, we did it, we mapped it and worked with chamas. So you're in your chama. I'm responsible to give her a loan. I signed for her, so I follow her to make sure that she can pay. Wow. And people have paid. And as they have paid, they have now gotten 50,000, and the numbers keep growing. So we are helping the MSME to grow in that area. If you get an MSME who is doing, we have others who Sanga from here and they sell it here, they are able to now start planning and saying, if I can get the 31,000, I can buy more stock. I will sell, then I'll pay and get extra money. And that has really worked very, very well. But also training them, just showing them that it's not just getting money, it's being responsible so that you can grow tomorrow. And from where I sit, I think that model has worked extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Maybe before I get to Anna, I just want to know, are women actually good paymasters? Do we pay back? Are we loyal? Do we come back? Christine?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
We do?
Yes.
Oh, that's great news. Anna, so I'll come to you on the same question on the microspace, specifically within the manufacturing sector. Perhaps you can just tell us what some of the trends you're seeing and how it has been trying to get them to formalize their businesses.
Thank you, Terian. So at ITC, especially She Trades, we have been working for many, many years with formalized SMEs, women-led SMEs that are ready to export, are almost ready to export. But indeed, we thought that we couldn't just leave behind all the other women entrepreneurs, women-led cooperatives, women producers, farmers that are still in that path. So the work that we have been doing is to, first of all, identify and do this mapping exercise for all of them. Kenya is sometimes we're in the middle of the hurricane and we see that we have many problems, but I must share that in many other countries, the situation is much worse. So for small producers or a single self-employed person, it might be difficult for them to really understand which are all the documents, all the approvals, etc., that they need to take in order to formalize their businesses. We have a very good tool called Global Trade Help Desk, And basically what we do, we put in one place all the information that these women entrepreneurs might need in order to formalize their businesses. So which approvals from which organizations, what is the fee normally that they have to pay, because sometimes they might encounter in some countries some corruption in the middle of the path, right, in terms of charging extra fees for some specific documentation. So we try to streamline and bring transparency through this process. Another thing that we do is to help cooperatives or associations to either build up new ones. So in some countries we have examples where we help in some sectors women's farmers to group themselves into formal cooperatives. And we help them with understanding how to manage the membership database, how to deal with their financial accounts, how to put in place a good governance structure so they can run their cooperatives for many, many years. So this is perhaps, I think, the work that we do more at this level. Of course, we try to understand as much as possible also with colleagues working in the policy, trade policy sphere, which are the key barriers that they face if they are cross-border traders as well. So in a nutshell, I would say that She Trades gives a special focus. I would say 75% of our work will go currently to SMEs that are somehow already formalized. And this is the structuring work by supporting the ecosystem and by giving them the right information is pretty much what we are doing. So in Gambia, for example, we saw that there are many tomatoes producers or veggies producers that are really losing produce because they were not structured enough. So by connecting the dots and by engaging them with the right cooperatives, associations, and enhancing the management skills of these associations and formalizing them, we saw that then they could become potential suppliers for national, even for governments, but also national buyers and regional buyers as well.
All right. Thank you so much. And I'd like to come to Christine now for a conversation that I'm sure affects all entrepreneurs, both male and female. But because I'm a woman, I know that it has affected me before, especially when we're starting out business and we're putting the money together. You know, you're putting your business money into your personal money. We are receiving sometimes payments via mobile money. So how does that, one, affect how our credit history is? And, you know, how does the bank look at how women can be more disciplined? Or what sort of awareness do we need? Do women need to ensure that they're separating the business money and their personal money?
Thank you, Terry. Indeed, it is a big problem. The mixtures of mixing of wallets. I think women are just integrated. Yeah. We, you know, the milk money comes from the business money, the hair salon money, etc., etc. And I just think if we are going to be growing our businesses, we need to be more intentional about how we manage our funds. So I think we need to have separate our personal funds from our business, so a personal account, or a personal savings account and a business account. We should avoid as much as possible dipping into those pockets. And I'll tell you why. It's because we want to see your financial transaction behavior. Mm-hmm. We want to track your turnover, because your turnover will tell us whether indeed you're worthy of this facility, whether you'll be able to pay this facility. Mm-hmm. So it's important from an early stage that women begin to separate their wallets. But also, Terry, I must touch on an area which is women must self-reflect on their relationship towards money. Yeah. I'll tell you this. So one of my friends told me the other day that, Christine, I took a loan, but then I wasn't disciplined about managing my funds. She says, I wish I had more self-awareness. So it's almost, and that's where coaching comes in and mentoring comes in and online training. You almost need to get a financial coach. And I know one of the things that this SME She program will have is various forms of coaching, which could include even financial coaching. Mm-hmm. Because you almost need to address your weaknesses. Because if you don't address your weaknesses towards money, it will hamper or impact the success of your business. Mm-hmm. So it's important that discipline begins early, and by attending our trainings, and I'm really encouraging female entrepreneurs out there to sign up for the She Business account. You'll have access to training, you'll have access to mentorship, And you should be able to put those your financial records in place.
Mm-hmm.
If I could add to what you have said, it's very easy to say that we are mixing our wallets. Yet, when we on the ground, if I got money for milk and I don't have food for the children, what do I do?
Yeah.
So you end up finding yourself mixing the wallets. So my request, and this is what we are requesting Absa, and we believe we're going to work together to get in a solution, is how do I, if I don't have, especially during this COVID season, it's been extremely difficult and very, very hard, especially for the small businesses like ourselves, the women. We have found ourselves in spaces we never thought we would be in. Now we are juggling. You pay me a shilling, I juggle. What do I pay? Which bill do I pay? Which one don't I pay? So I think going forward, we need to understand sometimes it's not because you want. I think sometimes it's where the business has taken us. We have been pushed to the corner. Last year, people said, make sure you don't spend all your money. By the end of the year, we had spent everything. This year, we don't even have anything to say, don't spend your savings or don't spend your money. So it's a balance that the bank needs to find that can help the business women. How do we balance? Because yes, there are times that it's been extreme.
Well, would you like to add something to that, Noreen?
No, I think Nancy has covered it.
Okay, all right. So we've got a question that I want to broaden a little bit. Two questions, actually. Mary Ndambiri, who's asking, as a member, can one propose to be funded in an operating women project? So my assumption is she's running a women's project. Can she, get to access some funding? Then Washu Mwangi says, I have many women in Kinangop who are doing well in organic farming but lack the market. Kindly advise. And I want to just broaden these two questions a little bit. One from the context of, maybe Nancy, you can talk about this, and Christine as well, in terms of markets. And one of the things, I don't like to say it, but it's true, we are very copycat oriented in how we do business. And sometimes we get into businesses where the market is almost exploited, but because everybody else is doing it, remember quails and all this other, fads that came and went. So from that perspective, in terms of market, at what point in your business, for instance, when it comes to farming, do you think of a market before you start farming? Do you start farming before you think of a market? And for somebody who doesn't have a market, from an Absa perspective, because one of the pillars is access to markets as well, how can they work with you? And Noreen, I guess on that broad perspective as well, when you speak to SMEs, when do they think about the demand? When do they think about, I'm an entrepreneur and I think there's an opportunity here? So we'll start with Nancy.
One of the things I have found is that I agree with you. You're very copycat. So you'll come and tell me, you opened a salon, you're now a billionaire. And I will tomorrow look for a space near you and near your building, and I'll open a salon. And that has actually distracted, what can I say? That has actually made us not grow. I think it starts by doing a due diligence. Before, even if you're farming tomatoes or mangoes or oranges, or you're opening a salon or doing a beauty product, I think it starts with a due diligence. I think, and that's where I find the difference between us and professionals. Professionals do a due diligence. I can tell you the due diligence that has gone to create the She Business account. I've been at the table at the conversations. It's been very deep. They've dived very deep. For us as entrepreneurs, we do gut feeling, and sometimes it doesn't work. So it's important that we start off by doing a due diligence. A due diligence gives you the pros and cons. If you do it if you're doing your tomatoes at this period, you'll get money. If you do it at this period, you might not, because there'll be more people in the market. And that helps you and sets you apart. I think the first thing is do a due diligence. Do not start anything without a due diligence. Secondly, involve professionals. What I mean by involve professionals, talk to the markets that you believe you can go to. At the chamber, we have access to markets. So if you talk to us, we can give you some markets that, both locally and international. We can tell you, if you're selling meat, you go to Qatar, this is how to go about it. Then you need to understand the pros and cons of those markets as well. And if you're allowed, if it's agriculture, we work with HCDA. They will tell you this is how you position your product. If it's organic, this is what you should do, and this is what you should not do. And finally, when it comes to the banks, I think that the financial institution like Absa will help you if you know what you're doing. They will not guesswork with you. So as women, we help them to position their products, we help them to open the markets, and we also prepare them to go to the banks. Yeah. So we help you to prepare you that as you come to Absa, because we are with them as you start whatever you're doing, it's easier and you have a solution quicker. And I think for me, I will not overemphasize, please do your due diligence. Yeah. Let's not copy each other. Let's try not to copy each other. And even if you get an idea, grow it. And the other final thing is adding value. Whatever we are doing, we must add value. When we go to the market, I must stand out. And that's what makes a difference.
Anna, I'd like to rope you into the conversation just after I get a comment from Noreen, especially from an export perspective. There's a huge opportunity, especially in the agribusiness space, for export. You know, what do women need to know in terms of the kind of support they can get if they're export ready from a she trades perspective, especially within the agri space? Let's come to you, Noreen, for response to that.
All right. I think I agree. Thank you, Terian. I think I agree with Nancy on the fact that you need to do due diligence. But also, we'll encourage SMEs, you know, find out what is your, I know we call it the side hustle or main hustle, but what is your heart hustle? Like, what do you really want to do? What would give you joy every day to wake up in the morning and go into that business? Because remember, Kenyans, we are very entrepreneurial. Yeah, so I might copy you and open that salon, and it might actually succeed. You get? I might have a different angle to it. But as you're going into the SME space, find out what does my heart really want? What will make me happy in order to be able to see this baby grow and to be able to see this baby survive? So I think that is what I'd encourage the SME.
All right. Anna, I'll come to you now.
Thank you so much. No, I really agreed with what Nancy was mentioning. And in terms of especially exports, I think, you know, women entrepreneurs that are watching us today, sometimes we spend a lot of our time, our very precious time when we are not working, checking social media or getting news that perhaps are not so relevant. So I really think we should dedicate our time online sometimes to get the information that we really need. So if you want to start exporting, so what is the path, right? So I need to understand the packaging, the certifications that I might need if I want to export to Germany, these standards that I need to comply with, and if I have an export license, and a lot of this knowledge and also access to this type of information is available online. So we don't need anyone else. You don't need she trades. You don't need, you know, women's business associations. You can get a lot of this information online, and it's available for all of us for free. Another thing that is very important, again, under the umbrella of access to information, is to understand how I can benefit from free trade agreements, so preferential trade agreements that Kenya might have with European countries, or that might have with the United States or other countries. How can my business benefit? Because sometimes you can really get tax exemption and you don't even know that you could benefit, that you could just fill up a form to benefit from that specific trade agreement. Another important thing to do is to come up with a good market strategy. You need to know to who you're selling. Selling to a Japanese buyer will be very different than selling to an American buyer, for example, or someone from Ivory Coast, right? Japanese might be liking other types of packaging, other types of branding, where United States will be liking something different. So it's really about customizing and adapting your product to make sure you have a good and you build a good relationship with your buyers. Another thing in terms of having this marketing strategy, you need to be strategic, and then of course organizations like ITC can help you, like Kenya National Chamber of Commerce. But sometimes you might think that, oh my God, I really need to sell in volumes my bags of coffee, and I see that the top country that is importing coffee by volume is China. But if I look a little bit deeper, perhaps the top importer of coffee per cash that they pay per unit right, of coffee per specific kilogram or tons, etc. What Finland is paying is much higher than China is paying. So perhaps I will sell less to Finland, but I'll get more money than if I sell to, for example, big bulks of volumes with China. So all these strategies, all building up your business plan, your market strategy, your financial planning is very important for you to have a successful business. Not ad hoc and, let me run on the pilot mode without understanding the market. And I think all of us here today in this panel are here to support businesses, women entrepreneurs in this journey.
Thank you, Anna. Christine, we'll come to you now.
Absolutely. I just want to support what Anna is saying in terms of the financial planning, having systems in place. There's no way you can start exporting if you don't have operational systems, marketing systems, financial systems. So I think the whole role we are playing, again, as a She Business account is through access to the networking, the mentoring, the coaching will help you set up those systems. So if we do with that, and then I'm sure women will be well on their way into export markets.
All right. Noreen?
And I think I have something to add on to that. To encourage the women who own these businesses, it would be good to also join a network. Because as you've been told by the experts on this panel, you need to have your books, in check. You need to have, your organization or your product branded properly. Join a network. And right now in Kenya, we have strong networks. We have, we'll start with the national ones. We have Chamber, we have KEPSA, we have CAM. But even at a different level, now we have the cottage networks, which, we have Kayana, we have Above the Radar, we have SME Founders Association, we have different networks who are actually very intentional on supporting SMEs. They'll take you through your product from step one. How do you get design your product? How do you enhance your product? And they'll even help you, guide you, get KEP certification. If you need security certification, they will walk with you through that journey. They will even help you market your product. And even now, they're going a step ahead. They're helping people, bringing in banks and financial institutions to help people to do their books, because they've realized that what hinders SMEs from getting this financing, is the books. They go to your accounts, they see a beautiful account, but as Nancy has said, that is, you're pulling in money for milk, you're pulling in money for school fees out, so your books are all over the place. And when you're told, do you have any books, even just an Excel sheet, show us how is your business doing. No one knows the health of their business. So these networks are actually going in and helping you to unravel all that. So that would be my encouragement to women-owned SMEs.
Let me add to this and say, at the Chamber, that's exactly what we are offering the women. So I'll take this opportunity to welcome women to join the Chamber, that we can start the journey with you. And we are going with you step by step until we all grow.
All right, so I've just got 5 minutes to go. I'd like to let everybody who's joining us online, especially on Zoom, that we will have a poll question just to gauge, what you felt about today's event. A couple of questions. We'd love you to answer that, and that will happen right after we close the panel discussion. So I'll come back to the panel for some closing remarks. Perhaps some key takeaways or some challenge or encouragement to the women in Kenya who can access the Absa She Business account, and also from, I guess, a government perspective, some of the things that are being done that we may not be aware of and can take advantage of. So I'll start with you, Noreen, and we'll end with you, Anna.
All right. Thank you, Terianne, and thank you, fellow panelists. I think for me, my parting shot would be, let us look at how we're going to structure the whole SME system, because we'll have beautiful products such as the Women in Business proposition that has been offered by Absa. But what is the legal framework looking like? So, and this does not only take government, it also takes the private sector. So it's a public-private partnership on how do we come together and look at the legal and regulatory framework. How do we look at access to finance? How do we look at access to markets holistically? How do we look at entrepreneurship capacity building? And then through there, we're able to know, like, at what level of, as I said earlier, what level of an SME are you? Are you a startup? If you're a startup, you'll not need the incentive that someone else would need when they're medium. As a startup, how do we encourage you to even come in and think about opening a business? Do we give you a tax holiday? You know, does KEBS come in and give you rebates on your product? Let's look at it from end to finish. And this can only be done through SME growth framework, an SME growth plan or a journey. From the startup, the government and the private stakeholders, they handhold you even as you move to the different levels, up until you get to the final level. Probably your final level is export. How do we get you from startup, the idea level, to the finish?
Christy?
Thank you, Terian and panelists. You know, Terian, I came across an interesting statistic that female counterparts, you know, so if females and males are in the same business, a female will earn 38% less, yeah, from a monthly profits perspective. And that's through this SHE offering, we are choosing to challenge that, to say that we must empower men to prosper. And how will women prosper? I think they'll prosper through the 4 access pillars we've talked about already. So access to information and trainings, access to markets, access to mentorship and coaching, and lastly, access to financing. So for us, when I look at this product, it's not just a product that's just, you know, being branded a female product. It's a product that is choosing to, or is looking to satisfy the human in the woman, looking at the woman holistically, yeah? So this product will have insurance, it will have the junior savings account for her children, it will cover, you know, the financial aspect, the non-financial aspect, and I believe if women sign up, then I think the whole gender gap that the CEO talked about and Elizabeth talked about, and the funding gap will be closed.
All right.
Thank you.
Nancy, thank you very much, Christine.
Thank you so much, Ariane, and my fellow panelists. I think I've really enjoyed this session and talking about something that is very close to my heart. First, I would like to thank organizations, and as Margaret Kobia said, even our president, for just listening to the woman. Actually, one of the things women, we want to be heard. In whichever capacity, women want to be heard. I would also want to thank our president of the chamber, Richard Gatia, who has opened new doors for us to be able to have these conversations and to empower the women. Every day you have a conversation with him, he says, what are you bringing to the table to the women? And the reason why it's the Absa She Business account is very attractive to the women of the chamber. It was created for the woman. So whether you want access to markets, there's a tick. Whether you want access to information, there's a tick. Whether you want access to be taught on how to keep your books, how do we have a spreadsheet, even on your notebook, where you can say, my profits were this, my P&L is this, where am I going through losses? It's another tick. And for me, even international markets, it's another tick. The She Business account has ticked literally all the boxes. So for me is to say thank you to Absa for thinking about the woman and giving us an opportunity to tick all the boxes. Asante sana.
Thank you so much. Anna, your parting shot?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really thank you so much for inviting me today, and I learned a lot with the session. So I think what we learned is that women need 2 things to grow their business. They need the right conditions, they need the right finance, the right policies in place, logistics services, but they also need the capabilities, right? The technical skills to grow and reach new markets, which all the partners today presented, and this is what we're trying to do. So I really like one question on the chat actually that said that, can you please send me the list of all networks in Kenya supporting women? So I invite us to perhaps work together and not working in silos and get all this information. So the Absa Women in Business Proposition Scheme, the She account, but many other services from all our networks, from other private sector organizations in other areas than finance. And I'll be happy to put all of this in one place so women can find easily in Kenya, where can I find good partners that are doing a lot in logistics, in finance, in networking, in capacity building. So as representing the United Nations, perhaps we could put this all in one place, emphasizing such good products as this amazing one of Absa today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, and thank you to my panel. I'd like to appreciate them one more time. Noreen Nthiga, Head of Program Management and Development, SME Advisory Unit in the Executive Office of the President. Christine Mwai Marandu, Country Credit Director, Absa Bank Kenya PLC. Nancy Modhoni, National Vice Chair, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And of course, Anna Claudia Zaleski-Mori, Head of Partnerships, She Trades Initiatives, International Trade Center. Thank you all so much for being part of this conversation and for lending us your amazing thoughts and great gems of knowledge and tricks of trade as well. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I'd like to thank you all for being part of this conversation. Those of you who have been asking questions online, some of those have been answered on the panel and some have been answered directly on the different online platforms that you have been joining. And if it hasn't yet and you'd like some more information, please feel free to head over to the Absa Bank Kenya website, where you will be able to get in touch with members of the team and just find out a little bit more about the She Absa Women in Business proposition. Members of the media, please stay behind. We have received some of your questions. I've got with me Managing Director, Absa Kenya PLC, Jeremy Awori, and Head of Business Banking, Director of Business Banking, Elizabeth Wasina Ochwa, who will be joining me in just a moment for the press briefing, which should take another 5-10 minutes for us to get back on stage. So thank you all so much for watching and for being part of this conversation. My name is Terry-Ann Chebet. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this conversation. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Christine, well done. You did very well.